abiding. Your borders are not closed.
Our Law and Border team joined with Ben and Oscar as they began their trip from Bogota, Colombia to the border of Venezuela to expose the real cost of socialism.
It has no value.
It has no value. Look how much she has.
From there, they journeyed across the country to Nicocli, where one of the largest human smuggling operations can be seen firsthand as people prepare to begin their journey over the Darien Gap.
This is crazy, guys. Don't put your kids through this.
On this episode, Ben and Oscar travel back across the Gulf of Urabá and discover just how intertwined the human and drug trade really are.
We got Michael on the boat.
From there, they'll head across to Panama and visit some of the tribes whose land is being destroyed by these open border policies.
This is what open borders leftism does.
And then it's time to ruck up and move out as we join Ben and Oscar as they begin their journey over the deadly and dangerous Darien Gap.
It's ludicrous, it's crazy, it's suicidal.
Don't do it. The message is spreading. They all know America is open.
Welcome to Law and Border, Route of the Invasion. And we're going to take you where Kamala Harris refuses to go. And show you the root cause that the left doesn't want you to see.
This is what secure in your country looks like.
You're watching Law and Border with Ben Bergquam. After spending a day on the Darien Gap Trail in Colombia, Ben and Oscar take a boat back across the bay to Nicocli.
We're just leaving Guna, heading back to Nicocli, and as we're leaving, another boat of illegal migrants is pulling in. They look to be all Asian and Middle Eastern. So this is, we saw yesterday, it was mostly Haitian and African, along with Ecuadorian, and it's weird how they separate them out, it seems, by race.
Yeah, I believe that it's the cost. Like they took a sign out in Nicocli where they have the cost for people and for entity. So this is specifically a boat of Asians with Middle Easterns. It's international.
It's
international trade, basically.
Yeah, trade of people, smuggling people.
As they make their way across, the captain notices something floating in the water and changes the course to investigate. Quickly, Ben and his team realize that it's one of the ubiquitous fishing boats that's also used to smuggle people. They search for survivors, but none are found. Initially, the captain attempts to tow the boat to shore, but the rescue rope snaps. He then makes a decision to send a crew member over to the capsized vessel to bail out the water. The attempt fails, and the boat begins to sink, but that's only where the story begins. As the boat continues to go down, two brightly colored bales of cartel contraband pop to the surface of the water. Ben and Oscar make it back to Nicocli, only to find more evidence of this new version of cartel trafficking. It's a blossoming economy that's thriving all over South America.
So it's not just down by the beach where this is happening. Everywhere you go, there are these little stalls, and even the shops across the street over here, all catering. You've got the illegals, again, African, Chinese, people from the Middle East, all over the place. The entire economy here of Nicocli is now based around illegal migration.
Meanwhile, Americans are facing $7 a gallon, $5 a gallon. They're moving out of their beautiful California because these liberal policies, they're destroying the economy. We know where you're creating jobs, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Now we know where.
Yeah, when he was talking about creating jobs, we just didn't know it was in South America.
He said creating jobs.
It was for the illegal invasion of America. Outrageous, man. I mean, it's really hard to believe until you're down here. This is, these little shops are profiting, but the guys who are really profiting are the cartels and the people that are taking advantage of the people that are buying from these shops.
The guide that it's just his obligation is to carry bags for people that they cannot carry, just to carry bags out of the mountain. That guy, if he makes three to four trips up the mountain, he's making a killer at $600 and $700 a week. Easy.
One of the big things we're seeing now are the Chinese and coming over in mass numbers.
Later that evening, one of our local contacts shares a video with us, and he says the cartel is using it to entice more Chinese nationals to join the illegal migration.
This is big money globally, and as that's happening, you got people dying in the mountains, you got children being raped, you got women being raped, and in America, massive deaths from fentanyl overdoses. All of this caused by Joe Biden and the Democrats.
Impeach Mayorkas.
That's it.
It's time to head back across the bay and continue our journey as we make a second stop in Cartel.
This is not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you that. Look at this stuff. It's a double-edged sword. It's tropical paradise, but it's also hell on earth. There's so many people that are stuck in there. This is actually was a major tourist destination until it became part of the smuggling route. Holy cow! I mean, we're Mayorkas, we need better boats. One of the other things, you got this multi-dollar estate over here, and in talking to the locals, you know, a lot of them that are making money on this have no problem with it. They just say, as long as they don't stay here, it's that whole, not in my backyard, not in my tropical island, not in my tropical paradise. As long as they can make money on the people going through, they're fine with it. But as soon as that million people decide to just stay here, they'll be over it, just like America is. Don't come on it at all if you're coming illegally. It's not worth it. It's a fun ride across the bay, but it's not worth what you're gonna get into up in there. Looks like we're coming into Bergquam now.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
This is paradise. I will tell you, everybody in Mexico should be jealous of this. The United States, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's like they will be extremely jealous of this treasure. This is a beautiful jewel that it needs to provide more economy so that people will live out of this, man. People in the United States will come over here to live over here, man. This is being destroyed, and I wonder how the citizens from here feel, because it's being destroyed by one political party, that is the Democrats. Nobody else. You're destroying other countries.
And when Law and Border returns, we'll join Ben and Oscar as they head by sea across the border to Panama to link up with Michael Yan and Matt Tomlin.
Back at it again. It's like deja vu.
We're gonna meet the chief. We're gonna see some of the destruction left behind by the migrants.
They're saying that in 2022 they had to talk to the authorities because the migration was causing so much damage that it was affecting the coconuts, it was affecting the caña, and it was affecting the roads.
All this and more when Law and Border, the root of the invasion, continues. After boating across the border of Panama into the tiny fishing village of Puerto Obaldía, Ben and Oscar link up with war correspondent and Darien Gap expert Michael Yan and local Panamanian Matt Tomlin.
We're going to a Guna Indian village called Chacuna, which is located right by the trailhead that goes across the Darien Gap. We're going to meet the chief. We're going to see some of the destruction left behind by the migrants. So it's a really complicated situation.
Right as we're coming into the village on Chacuna, we've actually got illegal migrants up on the trailhead, straight back over here. So there's numbers that are going up here, but the trail constantly changes. We're heading in though. And no.
The lifeblood of these villages are the coconuts that they cultivate, and Oscar joins in with the villagers to process these jewels of the jungle.
He would have done 5 by now, Blue. You're not putting him out of work.
It's causing us a lot of problems because the coconut, when it's ready, is when it's on the ground. So the migrants are cutting it before it hits the ground. They don't know that that is our main cause of resource for food, for rice, and for us to have like an international trade with Colombia. That is our trade with Colombia. We take the coconuts when they're already on the ground and we take it to Colombia for trade. No es así. And the line of respect has been lost. They come over here and they cut the coconuts without respecting our laws. They come over here and they just cut everything out without asking for permission. It is causing us money problems, and it also is causing us problems with our society.
From there, they'll be headed to one of the indigenous villages that has been completely overrun by illegal migrants. It truly is impossible not to notice the natural beauty of these ancient villages.
Iban solos, a veces se perdían por el camino.
Déjame lo traduzco. Basically, what he's saying is that in 2010, the mass migration started. It started with Cubans. They started arriving into this shore, and they didn't know what was happening. They started explaining where migrants were just passing by, and it started more and more and more arriving. And the Panamanian law, he says, it is prohibited to traffic people, so they used to take them to another shore so they can take another route. Up to 18 years they can get in prison if they are found guilty of trafficking people.
A veces venían por la playa, igual a veces encontramos en las playas ahí los
Déjame lo
botes
traduzco
ahí.
rápido. Then after the Cubans, the people from Ecuador started coming. In 2012, 2015, it was okay, they were just passing by. But the problem was when in 2022, it was hundreds of thousands coming in. That is when we started seeing a problem.
Seguir para no se pierdan, ¿no?
So after that, we started seeing a mixture of migrants coming in. It's not only just Cubans, but also people from Ecuador and also people from Haiti. And they started realizing that it was a mixture of migration. So they were treating them in the most human way and telling them, this is your way, this is where you need to go. So they were showing them the routes. Después de eso, una pregunta.
Ya empezaron a caminar por la trocha. Ya no se veía más por el agua, ¿no? Igual.
En el 2022 tuvieron que hablar con las autoridades. They're saying that in 2022 they had to talk to the authorities because the migration was causing so much damage that it was affecting the coconuts, it was affecting the caña, and it was affecting the roads where they cultivate. So they had to talk to them to see how this is going to get fixed because there were hundreds of thousands of them.
Fuera, ¿no? Pero siempre coordinando con Senafrón. Así que...
Yeah, saying that basically the head chief, all the head chiefs from the tribes got together. They sit down with the authorities and they told them what can they do to fix this problem. And they basically, they didn't do anything. They let the responsibility on the tribe. And, after that, the head chiefs, they started deciding on their own.
Y entonces, como ya la gente llegaban bastante, ya no llegaban 100. No prestamos, sí.
No tenía nada, it completely changed from one day to another drastically. One day you were getting 100 and the other day we're getting 500, 600 people. So we didn't have enough resources to support or we could not take them.
Y entonces las autoridades, bueno, nos consiguen.
They have affected more
the coconut industry. That is their number one industry. That is their money exchange. That is their currency. And because they have been affecting the coconut industry, it's affecting their habitat, it's affecting their land. So what it was happening is that because they're affecting that, the Panamanian government has not done anything about it, and it's basically affecting their commerce. So that is the first number one directing that is affecting their community. ¿Qué me puedes decir acerca de las enfermedades?
Ajá, bueno, eso vamos.
Okay, what can you tell me about the sicknesses and the diseases that has been happening?
Bueno, lo que más vimos, ¿no? O sea, el primero fue la contaminación de las playas, que tuvo relación, nadie supo y dio una enfermedad ahí, y más tarde ya lo afecta a la población.
It's saying that the number one thing that has affected him is contamination. It is trash. They're contaminating the whole area. But another thing is, in terms of diseases, if we go by one by one, a lot of women have been coming in, and you have this factor of the young men having, relationships with the women, specifically Venezuelan, he's saying, and we don't know what kind of infections they can produce by that. If it is syphilis, if it is gonorrhea, if it is AIDS, all these kind of infections, they have been coming into our village. So ultimately, malaria is right now the problem.
Entonces lo que más nos asustó también del COVID, ¿no? Así que como ellos vienen del
Espérame
oriente...
tantito eso es importantísimo para nosotros.
Ajá.
The number one thing that affected us is COVID, and we know that COVID came from China.
Para hacer las pruebas eso, así que nos tuvimos, y bueno, casi gracias a Dios que no sufrimos mucho eso.
Saying that basically we know that the virus came from China, and that is where it came from. And when we started seeing people coming in from Asia, we were really worried because we were clean and we were thinking possibly these people are bringing this virus. But it didn't affect us at all. We were not contaminated by it. But we were really tense on that we were thinking, well, what can happen to us if we are not even, we don't know where these people are coming from. Ultimately, we were wearing masks, we were wearing protection when we were receiving them, but we were kind of sketchy when it comes to that. Sabiendo de eso, ustedes decidieron no tomar la vacuna.
Ajá, claro, igual, sí. Como ya eso fue antes, ¿no?
Que no es una cosa mala, O sea, si no la quisieron tomar es porque...
Cada cual, sí, cada uno sabe. Sí,
hábleme un poco de eso. ¿Qué es lo que piensa usted acerca de la vacuna y por qué no tomaron la vacuna?
Bueno, o sea, a veces la costumbre, la cultura mismo a veces nos indica. O sea, nosotros tuvimos también la prevención.
When it comes to COVID, we didn't take the vaccine because we believe in our natural resources. And we believe that we can cure ourselves. And that is the way that we thought, that we can cure ourselves and we can beat it.
Casi la mayoría ya no pusieron, ¿no? Por el temor de eso.
We're really traditional into our customs, into our culture. So we have always taken care of ourselves with natural resources. And we started hearing, with the technology, that the vaccine was bad, that it was not helping us, that it was bad. So we started being more sketchy about it, and we were like, we're not taking it. We're gonna rely on our culture and our resources and what we believe.
No tuvo ningún problema, ¿no? Porque ellos trataron de presionarlo algo, ¿no? Pero aquí la comunidad no hizo caso.
Y el programa sí se lo dieron.
Sí, claro.
Oh, wow. So they said, you know what? We're not going to accept this program of you guys forcing us to take the vaccine in exchange for money or in exchange for something. The government started pushing a little bit and pressuring, but ultimately they didn't cave in. And because of that, the government said, you know what, we're going to leave you alone. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. But still, we're going to help you with the program. So the government caved them to them and tell them, you know what, you're okay, you don't want to take it, but we're still going to help you.
Mascarilla y más nos afecta, porque uno mismo está inhalando la
tantito. Tantito, usted es un científico, oiga. He said, we were not using the mask over here. Because we said and we told the government, hey, you know what? You're using the mask. It is affecting you. You're breathing your own. You're breathing your own.
These guys are so. We can learn from the tribes, man.
Estamos aprendiendo de usted porque la gente es terca ya.
Sí. Entonces y nosotros entonces y todo eso, ¿no? Pero en sí. Y aquí la gente no se murió ni una en el caso de ese COVID.
We went to the program of the government. The government came, they tried to sanitize, but we were really preventing, people from getting infected by it. But, regardless of that, nobody got infected with COVID. Wow. And nobody had the vaccine, and nobody was wearing masks. Wow. So it really comes back then to natural resources, what they're saying.
And when Law and Border returns, we'll go further down the beach to one of the worst environmental disasters we've ever seen.
I mean, look at the amount of trash that's left behind just in this little pile, and it goes down the beach.
All this and more when Law and Border, the root of the invasion, continues. Ben and Oscar continue their tour of the indigenous village with one of the Guna Indian elders. There, they see the real impact that these open border policies are having.
I asked him, what do you do when people get sick? It's like natural resources for us has been the number one thing. And I'm asking him, what happens with the flu? How do you take care of it? And he said, ¿cómo otra vez? ¿Con limón y qué más?
Con hierba y el limón también. Con hierba y el limón. Hay una hierba que dicen que hierba es limón. Entonces uno se calienta ahí y entonces uno la toma y se la quita.
They're saying that the flu, we take care of it with some lime and some herbs that we got here. We put it on hot, it's like a hot tea. We drink it and it goes away. Our natural resources have been the ones that they have been taking care of diseases. And I asked them, the outside world is completely different over here. They said, yes, we take care of our sicknesses with natural resources. We should learn, tell them we should learn from them. Necesitamos aprender muchísimo de ustedes.
Sí, llevamos con él.
We have our natural medicine doctors, or curanderos as they are called over here, and they're the ones that they take care of us. Of course, there's an option of putting one social program over medical, department, but we prefer to have our culture intact. We prefer to have it like that. That is the number one thing that is affecting us. We are basically separated from our culture, and well, in a nutshell, Ben, migration it is affecting them in their culture.
Después de las 5, ellos no pueden pasar.
Wow.
O sea, ellos pasaban para comprar los productos, lo que es
Después de
comida.
las 5 ya no. Déjame traducirles. So we put the shelter all the way back, all the way far away from the village. The community was complaining a lot about the migrants consistently, and we did that because of the infections, because of diseases, but ultimately because, you know, the sexual intercourse factor that it was occurring, that will bring, you know, diseases also. So we put them over there, and also we put the law, they cannot cross the village after 5 o'clock to buy products. So after 5 o'clock, they need to stay in their territory. They cannot come over here to avoid problems and to keep them in a shelter far away from the village.
Una tiendecita, y entonces en la tarde venían acá a cuando ya venden la comida y le preparaban la comida todo hecha ya, entonces y le traían y le vendían, ¿no? Para evitar esos problemas.
And we know that there's bad people coming in. We know that there's traffickers. We know that there's people that they have been in you know, basically killers. So a smart way for us to detain that people over there, maintain that people over there, is to take the market over there to the migrant camp and not let them come in, and we put our laws in our village. So that's the number one reason why we kept them over there.
Caso aquí en toda la sociedad, ¿no? Eso que así que y eso pasó y hemos visto todo
We had a couple of cases of that, but we talked to Senate Front, and Senate Front supported us in terms to coming in and putting order over here because the problems were consistently and they were growing. And well, basically what Matt said about, you know, they heard of cases of rape, but inside of the Darien Gap, not here, inside of the Darien Gap.
Ahora, eso recorre hasta la comunidad de Armilo como 3 a 5 horas.
From 3 to 5 hours of road is what they have been damaging our coconut industry. 3 to 5 hours walking all the way to Armilla, they have been destroying our coconuts.
So all the way from here to there is really that's their lifeblood.
That's how they maintain their economy.
Vas a ver todos esos focos como así. O sea, tienen sus lotes privados de diferentes personas. Por ejemplo, aquí una finca le pertenece a un fulanito y en otro a otra fulana.
Y a todos ellos les estaba afectando. That the fishermen stopped fishing because they were, you know, doing the trafficking. It is happening over here. He's saying that, you know, our young people, because of this influx and because of this movement, they started being affected by it because the young guys stopped, you know, the cultivation of the coconut. They started doing the farming and all of that, and they were dedicating themselves to
easy money,
to the movement of the people. So he's saying that practically it affected us. Our whole youth was contaminated by this because now instead of farming and instead of providing to the community and to the women, now the men were receiving $50 to $100 and they were not farming. So it is affecting our farm industry in our community. It's affecting our lives. So that's why they don't like the mass migration that is, you know, occurring due to trafficking.
What should be a tropical paradise has been converted into the bottleneck of human trafficking.
This was actually the first illegal migrant camp that they set up when they had to deal with the massive influx of thousands of illegals coming in and invading their community. This water source behind me was one of their primary water sources that flows into down towards their community. This is what open borders leftism does. The same people that say they care about indigenous people, the same people that say they care about the climate and the environment. This is what their policies actually do. Open borders leftists, pretending to care. This is the reality of the policies. Climate change is not the problem. The left is the problem.
Para que el olor ya la comunidad no
estuvieran tan
aguantaba.
fuerte. Sí.
Ajá, tan
So
fuerte,
we
así
built
que-
this migrant camp, but the problem was that they were defecating all over the place. So we had to put, you know, regulations, and ultimately the community was being affected. I want to ask him a question. So this wall right here on the left works. Entonces, este cerco que está aquí al lado de protección para prevenir funcionó.
Sí, claro, funcionó, sí. Claro
course,
que ellos iban
it worked.
allá.
A wall
y,
worked.
y aquí ellos iban.
Look at this. The entrance to the Darien. They've actually, so this is something they've planted on their own. This is like for the tribe.
Personal field from the tribe.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is
Panamanian artist and guide Matt Tomlett describes the economic impacts to the tribal farmers.
members of the tribe.
Individuals from the tribe.
Wow.
So they each have their plots, and each of these plots is getting rated
You can see here breadfruit trees, you can see avocado trees, you see all kinds of pineapple, you see coconuts, you see right over there is sugar cane. They've got everything growing here and they live off this. I mean, it's real important to them. And you know, they were telling us so most Latins like to pick the coconuts when they're green because that's when they're full of really good tasting water. So they come in here and they see the green coconuts, which here in Panama they call pipas, and they just cut the whole thing down and drink them all and throw them away. But the way the Kunas harvest these to go to Colombia and they use them to press oil, coconut oil out of them. And it's real critical that they come to complete maturity and that they just fall off the tree. They never harvest them. They say it damages the crop when you harvest them. So once someone comes and strips all the pipas off the tree, they gotta wait like 2 more years to harvest that tree. And when you've got a little plot of land and you're depending on those coconuts, and you know, someone comes down and even further down the trail where they're out of sight of everyone, they were just, to save climbing up the tree, they just cut down the whole tree. Wow. So you can imagine the devastation.
The thing is, you can tell by this row of plants they've planted that they really care. I mean, it's like this is their home and it's just being destroyed. This is where we're actually going to be heading, Oscar Blue and I, bringing you the news. Joe Biden, Secretary Mayorkas, Kamala Harris, the left don't want you to see, the mainstream media don't want you to see. We're going to bring it to you from here all the way over the Darien Gap. Stay tuned.
But before that, the tribal elder takes us to a place that truly has to be seen to be believed.
You see how huge it is, how many they had, how many people were coming through at a time. The smell? There you go, environmentalists.
And it's one of the rare times that Ben is almost speechless.
Well done. This is incredible. We're at one of the camps from the Guna Indian tribe. You can see them, their actual village off there back in the distance to my left. This they had to set up because the amount of illegal aliens that were coming in, being invited in by the open borders left, they had to set this camp up, and this is what's left. Now, the number of people that are coming has decreased to this area recently. They're going through another trail, but this is what's left behind. They have, I mean, we're in one of the prettiest places on the planet. Look at the amount of trash that's left behind, just in this little pile, and it goes down the beach. Every one of these porta potties that set out over the ocean, they did this so that they would crap into the ocean instead of all over their community. Every one of these is full of trash. The Guna Indians deserve better. The Embera deserve better. The world deserves better than this.
Ironically, we found out that the New York Times had just been here a couple of weeks before, and not surprisingly said almost nothing about what's happening. And it just keeps going and going and going for hundreds of yards down the beach. Now, can you imagine if this had been a corporation that had done this? But instead, it's the United Nations and other leftist organizations who are inviting this invasion. And yet still, we don't hear a peep from the mainstream media.
That is what the open borders left does. That is what open borders look like. They're absolute frauds. They know it. Now it's time that the world knows it. And the fake news media that's been lying this whole time.
So I asked this guy, what's going on? I've never seen anything like this. And he goes, it's from the migrants. And so what we got back here, big river mouth that goes up behind us, and it follows the migrant trail. And he
he said just recently the river flooded and it just swept all their garbage from the banks of the trail down here and came out the river, and it's just piled up. It's just phenomenal.
This is on another level of environmental destruction. This could be one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. This is what it's become. There's more trash than sand here. You got these little kids playing in it. How sad.
And when we come back,
Leaving the garbage on the beach, heading into the jungle. This is crazy. This has to be our 5th or 6th major mudslide that's just happened in the last day or so. We're going to the top of that mountain and then over to the top of that one and then down the backside just to get started.
all this and more when Law and Border continues. Be sure to stick around after the show for another compelling music video by our very own patriotic entertainer, Dave Bray, USA. Welcome back to Law and Order. Let the journey begin.
This is Ben Bergquam and Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. Just wanted to give you an update. We're going to be out of service for about 3 days, doing something that no other network, actually no one else on Earth has done yet. Can't tell you the details of it for security reasons, but we'll be back probably around Thursday back into service.
It's time to let the journey begin. It's hard not to notice how beautiful this place truly is. But don't let it fool you. There's danger around every vine, behind every tree, and under the water.
Comisionado César Villar, jefe del batallón
They're
Puerto
prepared for every situation in the jungle. There's different people that they're in charge of their jurisdictions in different territories. But regarding this mission, we are extremely prepared, and we are excited to do this mission and to accomplish our goal to go all the way to Canamembe.
We're getting an opportunity to go in what no other network, no other individuals have been blessed and invited to do by the Colonel, to go in and be escorted across the Darien Gap with Centerfront. This is a massive honor. I mean, the honor is not a big enough word. If you would ask me what the best case scenario would have been for this trip, this wouldn't even been on the list. I wouldn't even considered it an option, and they've invited us to do this. Oscar?
It's an honor, and first and foremost, you know, we are extremely blessed to have a team. Not only Ben, Mr. Michael Young, also Matt right here that is holding the phone. We had the opportunity to talk to the Colonel and also to Agent Guerra, that is the one that is leading this troop, and all these fellas, young, lean machines, man, that they're going to take us safely from one point to another through this, one of the most dangerous places in the world. The first conservative network to do that with the troops. It's never been done in history by Centerfront. It's the first time that we're doing it, and it's Real America's Voice doing it.
We're going to be bringing it to you from start to finish. Real America's Voice News.
Bro, Centerfront,
Warriors.
vamos a estar monitoreando, ya todo está coordinado y que Dios y la patria nos...
All right, guys, we're heading in, leaving the garbage on the beach, heading into the jungle. Day one of an expected 3-day trip. Doing what no other journalist, no other person has done. Across the Darien Gap with Centerfront Special Forces.
It's obvious that our ecosystems and the beauty of Mother Nature mean nothing to these migrants. And sadly, everywhere you look is just more and more garbage. Make no mistake, this modern-day trail of tears and the ecological disaster it's leaving behind could be prevented. If only Sleepy Joe and Kamala would do their jobs and use whatever means possible to close and secure our borders. Centerfront makes Ben a custom walking stick.
Perfecto. Bueno, gracias.
Ben and his law and border team add their footsteps to the jungle floor.
One thing you notice right away is just how beautiful it is here. All right, we're heading up our first mountain of the day. Already seeing tons of trash. We've got our first tent. Looks like someone made camp here. Again, you don't know what happened to them. This is a terribly difficult journey. And we've been on the trail for about an hour now. To get to the point where we are, sometimes it takes people 3 or 4 hours. When we got kids, you know, they may have started late, decided to sleep here, realized you can't use a tent up here, and just left it to just trash the jungle. They're trashing paradise. Got condoms on the ground, medicine, clothes, backpacks. When you start seeing backpacks and a lot of ripped up stuff, a lot of times that's after somebody's been robbed. The thieves, robbers will just empty out the bag and throw it down, take what they can sell or has value. It's just an absolute disaster out here. That's prehistoric.
Es un almendro.
Mendro?
Almendro.
This is crazy. This has to be our 5th or 6th major mudslide that's just happened in the last day or so. Again, we were planning on leaving yesterday. We could have been in this. Holy cow, this is why the sad reality. People camp in places like this. They get tired, and then a landslide comes down the mountain or a flash flood comes and washes them away. See the remnants already of the illegal migrants that have come this way. Oh, we got a marker for the trail. So this is put out by the coyotes. See. And right here, you've got this old growth, potentially hundreds of years old, jungle tree. Just getting trashed. Its roots getting destroyed. That's all of its root system, all getting destroyed because the contamination.
One of the things that all of us we have been reporting on the borders and the crisis, it is this, the crisis of children. This is a child's tennis shoe around 2 to 3 years old. Imagine that, going through this travesty at that age, and God knows who is bringing that child. That is the seriousness of this travesty.
We're going to the top of that mountain and then over to the top of that one and then down the backside just to get started. You can see how dangerous this is, just walking this spine right here. You see that crack right down there? This whole piece I'm standing on is about to fall. Another big rain and this whole trail falls down the mountain. You can always tell where it flattens out by the amount of trash. Tents, clothes everywhere. They're exhausted. They want to quit. But where do they go? This is suicidal to take up with your kids. It's child abuse. We've been going now for 8 hours, and this is day 1 for us. Some of these people would be on day 3, and they may have 10 days left. It's just like, it's
ludicrous, it's crazy, it's suicidal.
Don't do it.
Hello, America. My name is Dave Bray, USA. I'm a patriotic entertainer and musician, but I'm also the voice of law and border. Our special musical tribute today is a song that I wrote called Survivor. And I wrote this song to encourage families of fallen law enforcement officers to actually go out and tell the stories and speak the names of their fallen heroes in blue. I believe that is what we should all be doing when it comes to this border crisis. We are losing way too many kids to fentanyl and way too many people to gang and illegal alien violence. So as you're watching our special musical tribute tonight, we hope that it encourages you to go out and speak the truth about what is happening at our southern border and tell the stories and speak the names of your lost loved ones. I'm Dave Bray, USA, and this song is called Survivor.
No one ever heard the shots that took your life away. And the only thing I wish is that I had the chance to say I love you one more time before you left this place. 'Cause in the blink of an eye, one moment in time, you were gone. No, I'll never look into your eyes again. Left with only pictures and the memories that we shared together. And they help to ease the pain. 'Cause in the blink of an eye, one moment in time, you were gone. But I'll tell you a story. I'll scream out your name. I'll always remember you. 'Cause the thin blue line remains. No blink of an eye or a moment in time could ever erase you. Never erase you. No, I never heard the shots that took your life away. Made me the survivor that I am today. But I know now there's an angel guiding me along. For the rest of my days, for the rest of my way, you'll be with me. You'll be with me. When I tell the story, I'll scream out your name. I'll always remember you. Because the thin blue line remains. And no blink of an eye, no moment in time could ever erase you. Never erase you. Never erase you. No blink of an eye or a moment in time will ever erase you. No blink of an eye or a moment in time could ever erase you.
And next time on Law and Border, Route of the Invasion. Ben and Oscar continue their journey through the jungle to see firsthand what it's like for tens of thousands who make this trek every month.
Kids, My Little Pony. Well, how many millions of people have come through here? Whatever you do, if you want to come to America, don't do it this way. We came across a dangerous spot, now we're going back across. These are not backpackers, in case you're wondering.
Along the way, they will meet some of the people who have decided to risk it all.
The message is spreading. They all know America is open.
Holy crap.
Yeah, don't hit those. Another morning, another group of illegal migrants heading for the United States, heading down the Rio Membrillo as we head back to civilization.
Thank God.
Thank God. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Shut down the Darien.
We are going to do the unthinkable.
All right, guys, we are heading in. baby shoes, maybe 1 or 2 years old, being brought on this hellish journey. Honestly, it just makes me sick. This whole thing makes me sick.
This is bad. Don't do it.
Just pray for this evil to stop.
Please, this is not worth it.
Tell the truth. That's why we're here, Real America's Voice.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Morning. What can we expect from President Zelensky's trip to the G7 summit and President Biden's plans to meet with him?
Well, Katie, we have seen over the course of the now 15, 16 months of this Ukraine conflict just how powerful President Zelensky's personal diplomacy has been in keeping support flowing to his country as it fights off Russia's invasion. And this is really a powerful moment, not just for President Zelensky to speak to the G7 leaders as a whole, but to speak to some of the individual leaders of other countries who have been invited to participate as well. We've seen just over.
Okay, welcome you in the War Room, Saturday, 20 May in the year of our Lord 2023, little technical problem there on a Saturday morning, but hey, we're rebooted and ready to roll. Here's what I want to do. I've got Steve Stern, Raheem Kassam, Ben Harnwell, a lot going on here in the first part of the show. We're going to blow the brakes, so you're going to get all of the content here. But what I want to do, if Denver, and thank you, Denver, for rebooting this as quickly as you did. If we can go back and play, let's go to the top. I want to hear MSNBC, NBC News report this morning on debt ceiling and the cratering, giving F-16 fighter jets or supporting F-16 fighters to Ukraine. Let's go ahead and take it from the top.
Morning. What can we expect from President Zelensky's trip to the G7 summit and President Biden's plans to meet with him?
Well, Katie, we have seen over the course of the now 15, 16 months of this Ukraine conflict just how powerful President Zelensky's personal diplomacy has been in keeping support flowing to his country as it fights off Russia's invasion. And this is really a powerful moment, not just for President Zelensky to speak to the G7 leaders as a whole, but to speak to some of the individual leaders of other countries who have been invited to participate as well. We've seen just over the last week, President Zelensky traveling throughout Europe. He'd been to the United Kingdom, to France, to Germany, to Italy, met with Pope Francis even. Yesterday, he was in Saudi Arabia meeting with representatives from the Arab League. And today, already, we have seen him with a series of one-on-one meetings, including, I think, notably, India's Prime Minister Modi. India is a country, yes, a democracy, yes, one with a close alliance with the United States, but one that has maintained some of those commercial ties with Russia that has helped to continue to provide revenue in the form of oil sales. And so this is an opportunity for President Zelensky to continue face-to-face diplomacy to keep that support flowing. And yesterday was a significant move by President Biden as he told the other G7 leaders that he would endorse this plan to begin training Ukrainian pilots to use those fighter jets. National